I have no idea the amount of ignorant mess we're about to get into right now.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Hello and welcome to a brand new preview episode for Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
All right, no Terrence this week. He is on assignment seeing a screener. But we are back. This is preview for episode 126, the 2007 film. I will just, before I tell you what it is, look, these are once a year. Don't worry, Terrence is actually on this episode. He didn't miss it. We've already recorded it. But this is the 2007 American comedy drama, written, produced, directed, and of course starring Tyler Perry. Why Did I Get Married? So this is the first of the two Why Did I Get Married movies. Yeah, it's got, like, everyone is in this movie. Janet Jackson, Jill Scott, Malik Yoba, Sharon Leal, Tasha Smith, Michael Jai White, Richard Jones, Denise Boutet, and Keisha Sharp. So that movie is about several couples who are friends. They go up to a vacation spot, and you sort of get like all of their weird intra-couple shenanigans. And so we'll dig into that next week. Again, this is the one Tyler Perry movie a year, so we're going to make it special for you. So look forward to that next week. We do have a couple of 5-star reviews. I wanted to read. I'm sorry, I kept forgetting to do those over the last couple of weeks, so I apologize. So the first one is from Vezel Liskov. This is from, where is this person from? Australia. The title is Chill. Quote, pretty chill podcast with roundtable of hosts who don't jerk off their opinions about film. Thanks. Appreciate that. The next one is from Awesome Sauce. The title is Doing What Needs to Be Done. Quote, this is my favorite podcast out of their film reviews. The hosts are really insightful about everything from acting to technical aspects of the film and very funny to boot. I first read about it in an interview I think Jay gave on RogerEbert.com a couple of years ago, and I was like, this is a podcast? I've got to hear this, and I've never been sorry. Do yourself a favor, like and subscribe, drink the Kool-Aid or whatever. You'll be happy you did. Being a guy who grew up being the only white guy in my schools, I've seen a lot of movies reviewed, including 90s Hood Trinity of Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and American Me more than anyone should. And I really appreciate the perspective and humor, especially when calling out unintentionally funny garbage movies like Baby Boy, which usually get hailed by more mainstream read white critics. Keep doing it, guys. Love your show. That's interesting. That actually kind of ties into what we're going to talk about later. And the last but certainly not least review. Look, I don't appreciate this title, and I'm gonna move so you can get a better look at my complexion and what I actually look like. But the title of this review is Jay Looks Like Seal Without the Scars. I'm like 19 shades lighter than Seal.
I mean, you're kind of backlit now, so
it's like if I sit over here, I get more of a Seal-esque look to me. So this is from Darius 1224, who apparently is a blind person. Says, you guys are the most relatable people I've ever heard. As a black kid who never truly fit in with other black kids because I wasn't so-called black enough or talk too proper, you guys make it feel like I'm talking film with good friends. Keep working on this and it will grow. I'll continue to support with a premium subscription. If you're looking for more income from your show, may I suggest streaming live shows or Patreon, where people pay for the film suggestions that can be viewed. I have a suggestion for one Sinbad film you guys wanted to do in the past. Let It Be House Guest. It's a fave of mine. Yeah, I've seen that. By the way, whatever you're paying Micah, double it. He's a true star here. The Beyonce or Justin Timberlake of the group. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Well, he doesn't get paid anything, so no problem.
I would much rather be the Beyonce
than the Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Never mind. I'm just going to leave it there. It's fine. Thank you for those 5-star reviews. It was very good.
Thank you very much.
Also, get your eyes checked, Darius. Get out of here. Although that dude can sing, man. Look, Seal is so unattractive. Seal is such a good singer that as unattractive as he is, he was able to pull Heidi Klum. So I can't sing, so I'll just take not looking like him as a consolation prize. So we would be very much remiss if we didn't talk about probably one of the larger things that's going on, I guess, in the Black community right now, which is the great debate over cultural appropriation. And of course, it bubbled up again this past week with a show that I actually really like, by the way. And this is not to say anything negative about the show. I actually really enjoy it. There's a web show on YouTube called The Grapevine, which is basically kind of like a roundtable, very similar to like our show, in it that it's a roundtable about particular topics, right? Not that they do movies and stuff like that, but they do sort of roundtable discussions, and they pick just sort of random issues like we do that are affecting the Black community specifically, right? They have really great conversations. There's a number of people. Sometimes it's like 10 people, 8 people. So it's a varying group of opinions. So sometimes you agree with them, sometimes you don't, or some people are, in the middle. So I appreciate that. It's kind of a cool show, and I think it's unique. And I would recommend it. They had a conversation on their latest episode, I guess, and the conversation pivoted towards cultural appropriation, specifically in music. And one woman, sort of the clip that's going around, and I would recommend watching the whole thing to get full context, by the way. This one woman who was on, she kind of went off onto this whole thing about how she doesn't like Bruno Mars because he's a cultural appropriator. So I'm going to play that clip for you. It's about 2 minutes. So check that out, and then we'll come right back.
Bruno Mars 100% is a cultural appropriator. He is racially ambiguous. He is not Black at all, and he plays up his racial ambiguity to be able to do what Jameer says, cross genres and go into different places. And you guys are bringing up Michael Jackson. Number one, me personally, I don't even think that Michael Jackson now in this day and age would be able to get to the point that he got to previously.
Facts.
And a huge part of that is because people have realized that they prefer their Black music and their Black culture from a non-Black face. Absolutely. And you have, so I'm talking, so you can because I'm talking right now. And in a lot of different ways, and in a lot of different ways, we have artists now that are much more willing to step into quote unquote Black genres that were not willing to do it when, they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to be in Black music. Black music was seen a certain type of way. We've reached a point now where hip hop recently surpassed rock and roll as the most listened to genre in the United States. Black American culture has reached a certain point in this time period that it was not at when Michael Jackson was popping. People had to campaign to get Michael Jackson's videos played on MTV.
Oh, MTV.
We are not in that same time period right now, so that's even a false equivalency to even try to bring up Michael Jackson's career and compare that to Bruno Mars. And I also want to say that Bruno Mars is not an original artist in the same way that Michael Jackson was an original artist, in the same way that Prince was an original artist. What Bruno Mars does is he takes pre-existing work and he just completely, word for word, recreates it, extrapolates it. He does not change it. He does not improve upon it. He does not make it better. He's a karaoke singer. He's a wedding singer. He's the person you hire to do Michael Jackson and Prince covers. Yet Bruno Mars has an Album of the Year Grammy and Prince never won an Album of the Year Grammy. So how you gonna say?
Wow.
So how you gonna say people that are originators in the funk genre, that are originators in the R&B, the New Jack Swing? Bobby Brown and New Edition don't have no Album of the Year Grammy. Bruno Mars got that Grammy because white people love him because he's not Black, period. The issue is we want our Black culture from non-Black bodies. And Bruno Mars is like, I'll give it to you.
Okay, so there you get an understanding of her general point. She really is not a fan of Bruno Mars at all, which is fine, by the way. That there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to address her points because I thought a lot of people made some interesting points. I 100% disagree with her on just about everything. I think her views are a little misguided as to who she's really mad at, which is kind of strange. But Micah, what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, it always feels like it. What is it about this dude that brings this out of people? Because I hear backlash from about Justin Timberlake, but I don't hear the vitriol. Maybe I'm just out of it, but
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
In terms of cultural appropriation and music, I mean, I don't know if people know what cultural appropriation is. Cultural appropriation is one of those problematic words like problematic, which gets overused so many times that it's becoming a problem.
Yeah.
Addict. And there is no such thing as cultural appropriation in America. It's America. Like, it's built on appropriation, quite literally.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the whole point.
Yeah. And regarding Bruno Mars, he is, look, I don't know that man's life. Like, I don't know what struggles he went through. He's a brown guy.
Right.
His last name is Hernandez, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, he's part Puerto Rican and part Filipino.
Yeah, so I understand what the argument is. I feel like the argument is not correct in the case of Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars, it would be one thing if Bruno Mars did rock music, saw that failed, went back to the future, and got a call and said, "Hey, you know that sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this."
Right, exactly.
Copied it, right? Like,
right. It is a weird argument to me that he's a cultural appropriator, but she makes a point that I actually don't fundamentally. I shouldn't say I don't understand, because that implies like I just didn't understand the words that she said. I just don't think it makes sense.
Word she said.
Yeah, I understood what she meant by it, but it doesn't logically make sense, because what you're saying is you think that he only does the music that he does to get over, not that it's the music that he connects with. Yeah. Like, she makes this point, and it was kind of interesting, because here she makes this point about, like, black music is more accepted from non-black people. That is what the music industry has said, or the public seems to believe. That's the feeling of the public. They would rather hear black styled music from non-black people, right? Okay. I'm not saying that's not completely true. Like, that has some merit. But at the same time, she then goes and pivots to a point that is the exact competing logic, which is rap music is the number one listened to music in the country. And everyone is like clapping. That's also very true, right? Like, that's inarguable at this point. But if that's true, then why aren't there tons of non-black rappers? Like, there should be tons of them. If the argument is that black music is preferred by non-black people, then there shouldn't just be Eminem and that dude who looks like Roger from Doug. There should be like a ton of them, but there's not. Rap music is completely dominated by black people who look pretty fucking black. Migos looks pretty black. Like, I'm sorry, Eminem is a rarity. Like, he is. So this idea that rap is the number one music, but everybody in rap for the most part is black. So this idea that they would prefer someone who isn't black is kind of a half truth. Like, it's not really as like concrete of a statement as she was making it out to be. But I get it on its face. I understand what you mean, but like the facts don't really bore that out, like across any sort of like landscape. It just really doesn't.
I think that's the frustrating thing, is that on a macro level, you're absolutely right. Right. But to single out this one individual,
it feels really shitty to me.
It feels like an attack on that individual.
Well, it is. I mean, like, she doesn't say it in that too.
Agenda.
Right. Well, and she doesn't say it in that 2-minute clip, but I think she tweeted it or something that I think this is what caused her to get banned from Twitter for a couple days, is she said she would bake a cake if Bruno Mars died. Like, yo, this nigga makes the happiest music I've ever heard. Why do you have that much of a problem with him? I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Like,
the guy makes love songs.
Right. He's not. And like in an interview, she says that she feels like, artists who are not black have to do really two main things in order to, I guess, like kind of pay reparations, so to speak, for doing black music, which I'll get into in a minute. But one of them is they need to acknowledge where the music came from, which he's done publicly multiple times, right?
He did it when he won the Grammy.
Thank you. Right? So I don't know of a more public place to be like, hey, guys, like, I mean, he thanked like Teddy Riley and people like that are arguably not household names to like the average white person in America. There's not. They should be, by the way. They influence a lot of music. But acknowledging Teddy Riley, people are going to be like, who the fuck is most people are going to be like, who the fuck is Teddy Riley? We know who Teddy Riley is, but like a lot of people in America don't, right? I mean, keep in mind, 60% of this country or 55% of this country is whiter than a jar of mayonnaise. Like, they just don't know. And then the second thing she wanted was this idea that a person who does black music, so to speak, should speak up for black issues. That's not their responsibility. Also, I don't like when people do things like this. Like, look, I like to think I'm a pretty quick person. Like I'm a pretty smart person, and I know bullshit when I hear it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to put him into a corner that he can't win on either stance, right? Because if he doesn't say anything, you'll say, why isn't he saying anything about black people's issues? If he does say something, he volunteers and says something, and it's not exactly what you want, you're going to say, you're trying to speak for black people, and you're not black, so you need to shut up. It's not like, no, he doesn't really need to. He's just making music. He's not required to. Is Fishbone required to talk about, white teen suicide because they play rock music? Why? They're black.
Are they cultural appropriators?
Well, some people would make the argument that black people invented every bit of music that's ever existed, apparently. Like, yeah, black people invented rock and roll, without a doubt. Black people didn't invent modern rock and roll. Modern rock and roll sounds very different than what, like, they were playing, fucking back in the day. Like, it doesn't sound like that. And, like, you're bullshitting yourself to pretend that that's true. Here's how I know. Because when black people listen to rock music, they're listening to, quote, white people music. So we all know that argument doesn't hold any water. Right. So if rap music is so-called black people's music and rock is white people's music, like, we bring in that, or country music is white people's music, are we bringing that same energy when black people do music in the other genres? I don't think so.
When Nelly did that country song, I don't remember hearing a bunch of backlash.
I mean, I think country fans just didn't like it, but they weren't like, you're stealing our culture. They were just like, no. And me, I was kind of like this song. It's not very good, but I kind of liked it.
Oh, I kind of liked it, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get it. But at the same time, like, I didn't know this until it was pointed out to me recently in a conversation about this. Like, Beyonce did a country song with the Dixie Chicks. Is she appropriating country music culture? I don't think so. I wouldn't say white culture because that's not really a thing. But like, that to me is silly. Also, one of the things you pointed out, which Terrence had also seen, and I didn't notice it at first, is she has, when they start this clip, if you go back and watch the clip that we posted, like, she's using a Japanese name.
Right. Loosely translated, it means like, I love you, teacher, or something like that.
Yeah, Sensei Mononoke, whatever the fuck it was, right? But
I just found that hilarious.
Like, you're having a conversation about appropriating cultures and how fucked up it is, and you as a black person are using a Japanese name. Now, somebody tweeted
Japanese language as an accessory.
Right, that's their. Is there anything that's more cultural than people's language? The words in which they speak? By the way, I don't care that she did that. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care. I just find it hilarious.
Yeah, it's just like, It is incredibly arrogant for you to think that that is okay. That is okay. But somebody doing music that we don't own, by the way, we don't own. We created it without a doubt. We dominate that sphere of music without a doubt, but we don't own it. Like this idea, and I wanted to really touch on this idea that black people somehow own rap music doesn't really work when you brag about how influential rap music is in the American culture or in the world culture. It doesn't make sense. You can't be like, we're the number one, we're the most influential, listen to our music, but don't be influenced by it and don't really enjoy it, but just like, music, but don't like it. Don't like it, but don't like it. You know, like that shit doesn't make any sense. In the modern age, it doesn't work.
It's segregation. It's
that's what it's advocating for.
It's whites and coloreds fountains. Like, it's the same thing, but you stay over here and you stay over here. And that doesn't work. Like it doesn't work, man.
Yeah.
Like
it's bizarre.
Bruno Mars is, I mean, I hate to, sound like a sycophant, but like the guy's fucking good, man.
Yeah,
like,
he is. And I don't even really fuck with R&B, and I like his music.
Right. Like and look, you don't listen to R&B
modern
because you don't listen to it, it's not in the regular rotation because you didn't grow up listening to it.
No, that's not true. I stopped listening to R&B in like the jagged edge 90s. Like that's where I was like,
oh, well, thank you for fucking up my point. But Bruno Mars is one of 6 children who came from a musical family that exposed him to a bunch of diverse genres of music, including reggae, rap, hip hop, and R&B.
He's Puerto Rican. What the fuck are they supposed to listen to?
Right. He's Puerto Rican. What is he supposed to just make salsa music? Is the band supposed to be a mariachi band?
Yeah, with a Filipino flair, just a dash. like what kind of? But to your point, and I think it's the best point, is you're advocating for separate but equal in art creation. That's what you're asking for. Like, and look, I don't know how old she is. I honestly don't. I am just going to just throw it out there on a limb. She looks like she's in her mid-20s, right? If you're younger, or excuse me, if you're older, I apologize for getting your age wrong. I mean, I don't really give a fuck, but just to this point, Mike and I are in our late 30s, right? Mike is really old. Shut up. That's it. It's an irrelevant point. No, but Mike and I are in our late 30s. Our generation, if she's in her mid-20s, which I think she is, our generation, literally, this, from an artistic standpoint, Bruno Mars is what we fought for. And I think that's probably where the big divide is a lot, like I see online. We literally fought for the idea of listen to our music, enjoy our music, be influenced by our music. The world, we're like, everything about the time in which we grew up was about coming together. So Bruno Mars is the logical conclusion to that. Some hodgepodge of brown person who is influenced by rap and reggae and, the music of, Puerto Rican culture, bachata, whatever, like all of that shit. That is what we fought for. Go listen to rap in the fucking 90s. It was heavily influenced by jazz. Heavily, because we were just like, oh shit, let's bring a little bit of this in. And we were pulling in shit from rock music. That's what we were doing. So he is the logical conclusion of that. It wasn't this idea of pushing out. It was about bringing people in. And we don't see that really until now. And now there's this weird backlash from what I would argue is around this like mid-20s, early 20s, like the super woke folks. I don't mean like the average person of that age, because I think the average person don't give a fuck. They're like, this music is dope. Like, whatever. That's why he won, right? Because he's popular. But I think there is a contingency of people who take being woke as we need to, as black people, separate ourselves. Yeah, look, we get treated like shit. We talk about it on the show all the time, without a doubt. And like you said, on a macro level, there are a lot of things that you're right about. But when it comes down, when you come out of the 10,000 foot view and you actually look at individuals, that shit doesn't really make sense. Because it's not Bruno Mars who's like, yeah, she says he's racially ambiguous. By the way, okay, he is, and he plays that up. Has he ever said like, yo, you don't know what I am? Like, no, I'm sure if you asked him, he'd be like, well, I'm part Puerto Rican and part Filipino.
Don't really want to talk about that because
Right.
they don't want to be put in a box because they've gone through their whole life saying white, black,
What are you?
Asian, native, or other. And they're, like, I don't know. I don't know. To your point about Bruno Mars, Bruno Mars is a very accomplished songwriter also. He has written songs for, look at this eclectic group of people. CeeLo Green, Adele, the Sugar Babes, Brandy, Adam Lambert, Far East Movement, Mike Ponsner, Flo Rida, and Alicia Keys.
All right, yo. All right, yo. Like, come on, dude. He is the culmination of what we fought for in the 90s. He is. Flo Rida and Adele in the same list?
And like hits. Like
Right.
hits, man.
But she says he's a karaoke singer. Okay, man. Look, I don't know this woman's background. Yo, I just have a feeling you're in the music industry and you're fucking salty because you didn't make it. Like, that's what it feels like to me. And look, I don't know. I honestly have no idea. But to have the level of vitriol for this guy, who is an accomplished person of color, by the way, an accomplished person of color, because this idea of like, well, he's not black, so he's like kind of basically like he's not black, so he's white type of shit. Nah, yo, come on, yo. Like this idea of like, well, he's, I hate this guy and all this other shit. I'm like, yo, look at the history of hip hop. You trying to tell me Latinos didn't have anything to do with the history of fucking hip hop? Like Ninth Wonder, who look, if you don't know who Ninth Wonder is, he's a DJ, like a pretty famous DJ, played with Little Brother and stuff like that. But he did a documentary, you and I both saw this, we saw it together actually, called Hip Hop Fellow, where he was basically a fellow at Harvard. And he's like, this dude knows like hip hop history and music history incredibly well. And he did a series of tweets about this whole thing. And he's like, yo, some of the he like named, I don't even know who this fucking DJ is. He was like this like super famous, like old school, DJ from Brooklyn. He was like, this dude was there at the beginning. He's Filipino. So how the fuck you acting like these people were not involved in the creation of this music that is apparently ours? And look, and again, I don't know this woman, and this is just my view on it. The way she talks and the way I hear other people talk, because I can't say for her for sure because I don't know her. It leads me to believe those same arguments that she makes. You ain't never been nowhere, and maybe you have, but it doesn't sound like you have been. And I go back to that a lot with these cultural appropriation talks, because when you actually leave the United States and you actually involve yourself somewhere else, and you don't just go to like Ocho Rios and just get like all the drinks and stay on a resort, but actually go to other countries and deal with other cultures, the first thing you realize is other cultures aren't guarded about their culture. They want you to embrace it. And
especially if you're from America.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Look, people overseas still have this magical view of America for some strange reason.
That's fading. That's fading fast. Real fast.
But yeah, man, like they want to share with you what they are about.
Yeah. I mean, you've been to Europe. You've been all over too. Like, and as have I.
Actually, France. I got into a really interesting conversation with this guy at this bar in Paris, and he was asking me questions, and I was asking him questions, and he was like, "Yeah, so what's it like?" When I went to London, this woman was like, "Yeah, I really want to go to America. Like, I dream of what it's like over there. You know, to have seasons." I'm like, "What the fuck?
What's wrong with
seasons? Like, that's what's getting you off? Seasons?
We go to California to get away from seasons."
Right.
I mean,
but she was like, "Oh, I would." She said, "I would go to America and never come back here."
Wow, that is a bold statement. That is a bold statement. But again, she wants to know about your culture, right? Like when I was in Singapore, when I was in Chile, like when I was in Europe, every place, like they're just like, wow, here, check, not just like, let me hear about America, but like, check out the stuff that we have. And like, this is, because they realize, and it's something, and look, part of it is just because of race relations in America, right? Like we are so fucking weirdly divided because of our history, obviously. But like there is an acute understanding that culture dies when you hold it tight and don't let it out. So this idea of like black culture needs to be held to us and only for us, like it's a fucking FUBU sweatshirt or some shit. Like, no. Yes, we created it. We made it awesome. Look, I will be just as arrogant as anything and tell you everything that is fucking generally seen as cool in America is because of us. It just is. Music, style, all that shit, the fucking swag of America. Why do you think they love Barack Obama overseas? He's a cool ass black dude. They're just like, this guy's so fucking cool. That swag, that all comes from us. However, if you show all of that to the world and then be like, nah, don't copy it. Don't do nothing. Don't let it influence you. Don't change nothing. That's impossible. It's an impossibility. What you're asking people to do is to fully embrace your culture. But like when you get to the 99% mark, just turn that shit off. How the fuck can you expect people who listen to rap music in Japan and they grow up listening to that because they love it, not to, if they have any level of musical talent, not to do that? That's the music they love. So you don't get to tell them that it's not for them. If it's not for them to make, then it's not for them to listen to. And if it's not for them to listen to, then what's the point of the music? Why put it on the radio?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I just don't understand it. I one of my favorite DJs, who has since, like, he died in like 2009 he was in like an earthquake or some shit. But one of my favorite DJs is this Japanese dude. His name was Nujabes. And when I first heard that music from an anime of all things,
nerd,
I fell in love with it. And that is the music that I listen to. It is hip hop music created by black people, done by a Japanese DJ that samples a lot of jazz, and he mixes it with hip hop. And it's the best music in the world, in my opinion. And like that's it right there. Like the fusion, like that's what makes music. They say there are two universal languages, right? Math and music.
Yep.
Math is the true universal language because no matter where you go in the world, everyone knows that 1 + 1 is 2. Music is the universal language because if it sounds good to you, you're going to like it.
Look, I don't know. Look, I'm American. I only speak English. I speak a little bit of I know a few Japanese words. I know a few Hindi words. Not enough to get around, Spanish words like bathroom, like the important ones. I don't know shit about other languages. I listen to Sue George, who is a Brazilian artist. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. That music for me sounds amazing. It does. It just works. I don't know what he's talking about. He could just be like, America is the worst country in the world. I'll be like, yo, this hits. Like, this shit sounds great. But it is the universal language. That's absolute. Culturally, it is. So this idea that we would just make music to be so powerful and influential and tell our stories and stuff like that and tell people you are not allowed to enjoy it. And you can say the same thing about R&B. Like, come on. What is more universal than a guy singing about this woman that he loves? What is more that is in literally every culture. Every culture. Like, I listen to occasionally, I'll occasionally listen to like some Bhangra music or whatever, just because, my wife is Indian and like occasionally she'll throw some shit on. She don't know what the fuck they're talking about either. She was born here. But the beats are fucking hot. You know how great music is when it's fusion? So much that Jay-Z, the number one, arguably one of the number one rap artists of all time, went to fucking Punjabi MC as a fucking DJ in India and did that song with him. That shit was dope. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, who cares? It sounds good. That's all that matters.
That's all that real musicians look for.
Dude.
Especially in hip hop. Like, hip hop
just sounds good.
Documentary. Hip hop, was birthed from people not being able to afford to buy music. So they just took a little bit here, they took a little bit here, they took a little bit here, and they made something beautiful out of it.
Right. It feels like people don't really understand the history of the music they so harshly defend.
Yeah.
You know?
And look, this is as much as I can be fair to this person, by giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying maybe all they want is for someone to acknowledge where it came from.
Yeah. And that's fair.
That is 100% fair. And I totally agree with you. I better not see somebody come up and be like, I invented this shit.
Right. Or, then come on.
Right.
Like,
now we got a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Like, look, Justin Timberlake, as much as I think that guy is very talented, you should still be talking about him, quite frankly.
Yeah. Because he dipped out of that shit the second it was not convenient for him.
Right. He is the one that appropriated culture, if anything, in my opinion. But I'm not going to take nothing away from him. I just, he rubs me the wrong way. But Bruno Mars, yo, what?
Yeah, to me, it's did he run over your cat? Like, it's such an odd person to go after. Like, I don't really get it. Like, here's a person who I think she made this point. Like, she called Miley Cyrus a cultural appropriator. That one's correct. I agree with you.
Because she started out as one thing, decided, oh, hey, this is getting people bank. Let me do this.
Right.
And then the second, like you said, it wasn't convenient for her anymore. She rolled out.
Right. Now that is a valid argument. Like, I don't know. I don't even know that I would say I get the arguments that Justin Timberlake is a cultural appropriator. I don't get that hung up on it only because because the dude was just singing. They basically just added better beats. And then that's what got him like Justified and all those other albums afterwards. I mean, he was already singing R&B. It was popcorn bullshit R&B before when he was in Sync. But I mean, is that any different than like the Jackson 5? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were another boy band, the original, as far as I'm concerned. They were a boy band, and then Michael Jackson broke out on his own and did better music solo, right? That's not to compare Justin Timberlake's talent to Michael Jackson. That's crazy. I don't get too hung up on it. Like Iggy Azalea, I think is an absolute culture appropriator when it comes to music, because she literally is Australian and then puts on a nigger accent when she's rapping. And I'm using the hard R because that's what she thinks. Oh, that's what niggers sound like, so that's what I'll do. I'm like, come on, yo. The second you get off the stage, you're like, put another shrimp on the barbie. But then when you rap, you're like, yo, what's up, my nigga? I'm like, yo, all right, what the fuck is happening? Like, I don't agree with that shit. I don't
mind if you do that. Just be good at it.
Yeah, she sucks too. Yeah, she's not good. But like, going after Bruno makes no sense to me. Going after Cardi B doesn't make any sense to me. Yo, Cardi B grew up as a Dominican in New York. She's just a couple shades lighter than you, dude. Like, that's it. Right. That's it. There's a reason why Fat Joe and Big Pun, all them, they were accepted because Afro-Latinos are black. Like, they just don't happen to be the same shade as you. A lot of the same, just slave owners fuck different people. That's the only difference. Like, that's it. So they didn't choose their color in heaven or whatever the fuck you believe. Oh, well, I want to be light. I want to be this shade. Can I be this one? I don't want to be this one. Like, no. They were born, they do what they got to do. They grew up embedded in that culture. And like one final thing two final things I'll say about this. One, she makes a point about Michael Jackson having an easier time making it back then than he would making it now. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't see it, but
no.
Yeah, he would have had an easier time now than back then?
No. He would have an easier time making it back when he did make it versus now in a time where people are more accepting of, black people in the top echelon of music and all this other shit.
But according to your logic, black people who do that music don't get recognized unless a white person does it.
Again, I don't think so. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, no. Michael Jackson is really famous for a lot of things, but part of it is because he made it in a time where people weren't getting to that level. And it was really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, no. Here's how I know he would make it. I don't know if that music would like work as well. Like, that's a different argument altogether. Although, I mean, that music still hits for me. But Bruno Mars made it. Like, Bruno Mars made it. What are you talking about? Like, and Michael Jackson is lighter than him. So, I don't know. Michael Jackson's just a fucking weirdo. So, like,
Michael Jackson grew up in the 60s.
Again, I feel like young people a lot of the times don't know history. Like, what are you talking about?
Yo, if you could carve out like superstardom as a black person in the 60s, worldwide.
Thank you. Worldwide, dude. Worldwide. But he would have had a harder time now? Okay. I guess. Again, I feel like you don't know history. And I don't want to make that assumption, but what you're saying is fucking dumb. Like, that's fucking dumb. And I'm trying to be respectful, like, but that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. And one last point. Look, it's music, whether it's R&B, whether it's rock and all this other stuff, we're all going, it's not going to get more separated. You can just let that idea go. It's becoming more tight-knit over time. Like, that's just, the world is getting smaller. In the age of the internet, the world is getting smaller. But I would propose this question to people who agree with her. Is it that Bruno Mars isn't the right shade? Is it his skin tone that's the problem? Or is it culture that's his problem? Because if it is culture that is his problem, or, well, one, if it's skin tone that's his problem, that's not his fault. You can't blame somebody for the color that they are. That's a ridiculous argument. Two, if it is his culture that is the problem, one, you don't know what his culture is because you didn't grow up with him. So you're making the assumption just because he's not black, he didn't listen to certain music. Two, if he was the exact same person he is now, but he was adopted by black parents and he was raised listening to hip hop and R&B and everything else you and I as black people in America in this time frame were raised on. And then he tried to do the same music. Would you have a problem with it? Or would it be okay? Because if it wouldn't be okay, then that means you have a problem with literally the way he looks, which to me is what racism is. If it's okay because he grew up in that culture, then why isn't it okay for him to do it now? So that is a simple multi-point question that I would propose to you that I don't think, besides going, I don't think he looks like he should be doing it, then nah, that's not an argument. By the way, I thought I was incredibly respectful on this episode because I really didn't want to be.
Shocked. I couldn't believe it. When I talk about the Bruno Mars thing, I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta hear Jay fucking cuss some chick out for 30 minutes.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I don't know her. Although that has never stopped me in the past. I'm just curious. I'm just curious as to the mindset because it just fundamentally feels like you're advocating for segregation in art. And as a person of color, I don't want that. Like, I think it sounds really good when you're like, it's us and it's ours and like, we're the only ones with it. Like, that sounds really super cool and like super woke. But when you extrapolate that out, what you're saying is nobody else has any value that you give a fuck about. And is rap and R&B by black people exclusively the only type of music you've ever listened to? Really? Also, do you have a problem with Wu-Tang? You bring that same energy to them? They just completely lifted Chinese culture. But I know for people, I'm not going to say like her, but for people who make very similar arguments, somehow black people appropriating other people's cultures of color, that's not really an issue. So, I'm just curious. My attitude is just bring that same energy when you talk about Wu-Tang then. I don't give a fuck that they do fucking Chinese action movies for soundtracks. I don't give a shit. But you should be just as mad. And don't say, well, I don't care about that. No, but you have to. Because if you're woke, you have to be all the way woke. But, you know, I don't know, man. I'm a child of the 90s. We fought for this shit. So I'm going to keep fighting for it.
It's the closest thing to New Jack Swing that
Yeah.
I'm get is listening to Finesse.
But it died. It died as a genre of music. I'm sure when you first heard that, you were like a single tear came down your eyes. It's like, they're back, baby.
Man. I was like, oh shit, they had the little Living Color skit going on too. Oh shit, Cardi B looked like a fly girl.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she looked real good in that video. But yeah, I mean, they literally brought back a genre of music that for the most part in the mainstream had died. What's wrong with that? They like the music. Like, you have to understand the difference between appropriation and appreciation, which it doesn't feel like from that clip and from some other parts that I've seen. It doesn't feel like a lot of people understand that. They want to keep things to themselves, and that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So good luck, I guess. Any other parting words?
Sayonara.
There you go. Look, we keep forgetting to say this, so I will say it right now. Look, we are a part of the TMP Studios network. It's the network that Mike and I run. But we have a number of podcasts. Make sure you check out the Nerdpocalypse, which is our movie and TV comic nerd show. You can also sign up for premium content. You can go to blackonblackcinema.com/premium. Sign up. It's $5 a month or $50 for the full year. You get episodes of No Time to Bleed, which is a similar style show as Black on Black Cinema, but about old school action movies. We did Blade just recently, Micah, Terrence, and I. You can get Airing of Grievances, which is our Seinfeld show. You can get The Men with the Golden Tongues, which is our James Bond podcast. You get full episodes of our political podcast that I co-host with Andy called Look Forward. You can listen to the free first hour of that show every Monday. If you go to lookforwardshow.com, check that out. You can go to Dense Pixels. That's another show we have. That's our video game show hosted by Micah and Terrence and Brad. So check all that stuff out. That's a lot, but go to tmpstudios.com. You can check it all out there, or you can go to thenerdpocalypse.com and check it out there as well. Sign up. Also check out our quick movie review show. We do one called Coming Distractions, which when new movies come out or new TV shows come out, we review them. They're anywhere between 5 minutes to about 15 minutes for a review. So check that out also on iTunes or whatever, wherever you get podcasts as well. So check all that out, and we will see you guys next week for Why Did I Get Married?
See you.
We out.